Radio, bringing you hot, smoldering topics on a weekly basis. Your participation is important.
Good morning and welcome to yet another edition of The Burning Issue here on the happy world of 5FM Radio on 89.9 in Lusaka and the surrounding areas. We are also live on our partner radio stations. We are live on Wave FM Radio in Mazabuka, covering the rest of Southern Province on 98.7. We are also live in Kabwe, Central Province on Spice FM Radio on 91.1 FM, and also on Tuta FM in Mansa on 97 FM. And you can follow our conversation also live on our Facebook page. That's 5FM Radio Zambia. Generally, you can search for 5FM Radio on Google and be able to find it and listen to us live from anywhere around the world. Now, later on, I'll give you an opportunity as listeners to call in and interact with our guest. And today, we are privileged to host Mr. Edison Nkonde, who is the director from the Zambia Meteorological Department. And also with him is Mr. Laison Phiri, who is the principal meteorologist and also coming from the Zambia Meteorological Department. Gentlemen, welcome to the program, and it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much, and we are excited to be here.
Great. Mr. Laison Phiri as well, welcome.
Thank you very much, and welcome, listeners.
Now, today we are very privileged to have you, and away from politics, we'll probably get into the weather political issues. So this program today, we will actually be opening the phone lines quite early because we do realize that this is more of a people's program, and it's everything concerning the weather in this country and beyond, and of course the weather forecasts that we keep obviously getting from the Zambia Meteorological Department. Everything around what we are going through in as far as weather conditions in this country are concerned will be discussed here. Now, first things first, let me start with you, Mr. Edison Nkonde, the director. What is the mandate of the Zambia Meteorological Department?
Okay, thank you very much. Firstly, I think the department is in the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment.
Right.
Our mandate as the department is to provide meteorological services. Yes, and meteorological services basically means that we have to conduct observations.
Right.
We have been observing, even before independence, there were entities that were observing the weather, the rainfall, and so we have been managing that data, I think going back as far back as over 80 years ago. So we have that collection of data. That's what we do. We do collect weather data across the country. We do generate information from that data that we collect. We do make sense out of that data. We generate information that we give to different users, different sectors. And then we also ensure that we disseminate this information. We share it with the different users. So in a nutshell, there are three things that we do. We do observations, data collection about the weather and the climate. We generate information that feeds into the different sector, the agricultural sector, the water sector, aviation, other sectors, energy, and also we ensure that we share this information on different channels and packaged according to the needs of the users.
Yeah. Interesting. And what are some of the products and services that you offer? I do understand what you've just outlined, but any extra services and products that you offer?
So obviously we do share our data, the data that we collect, we do share with different users,
Right.
locally and internationally.
Right.
So some of this data ends up in what you receive as forecasts on your phone. The starting point is our data. It's data that we observe, we share with the other users that generate forecasts that they share on your phones. We also now generate our own forecasts, and probably I can start with what we give a long-term forecast that we call the seasonal rainfall forecast.
Right.
Now, the seasonal rainfall forecasts, we generate it and issue it in September or early October.
Right.
Normally, in the last few years, our honorable minister goes to parliament and issues a statement to launch the forecast, to describe what is going to happen in the coming season. So that's one product that we start with, the seasonal rainfall forecast. Now, the seasonal rainfall forecast just gives you a broader overview in terms of the performance of rainfall. Are we going to have above what we expect, what we normally receive, or we are going to have below? And we distribute that information across the country in terms of this area is going to be above average or below average. And now, as we start the season, the rain season, for example, we now start issuing specialized information or tailored information.
Right.
We have information that we co-produce with Ministry of Agriculture, experts from Ministry of Agriculture, which we call the Agro-Meteorological Bulletin.
Right.
So the Agro-Meteorological Bulletin is a 10-day publication where we now break down the seasonal rainfall forecast to give people now what is happening in the next 10 days, what has happened in the last 10 days, because we believe that information can now feed into the decision-making processes of the agricultural sector, the farmers. Yeah, so we do co-produce this agro-meteorological information with our colleagues from the Ministry of Agriculture, and we issue it every 10 days. We also do give what we call the weekly forecasts, where we give what is likely to happen during the coming week. We
Now,
normally
just before you go into the other forecasts, you did make mention a sector, agriculture, in this case, that you obviously get experts from the Ministry of Agriculture, and you work together to produce those 10 days forecasts. Are there other sectors that you work closely with other than agriculture?
Yes, we do. So even as we are producing, say, for example, the seasonal rainfall forecast,
right,
we do the technical aspect in terms of the rainfall itself. Are we expecting above average in this area, below average in that area? And before we issue it, we do sit through, of course, the convening powers of the DMMU,
right,
to sit with the sectors and come up with what are the likely impacts. If we are saying it will be above average in this area, what are the impacts that will come because of that projection?
right.
So we do work with the different sectors. We share a lot of data, for example, with the Zambezi River Authority, the Water Resources Management Authority, the ZESCO, so that we support their work as well, because most of their work is influenced heavily by the weather.
Now, Mr. Laison Phiri, you are principal meteorologist. Just share with us your role and exactly what you do.
Okay. No, thank you very much. Yeah, so my role as principal meteorologist at the Zambia Meteorological Department is that of the applied services.
Okay.
Yeah, because just like the director has mentioned, he has mentioned broadly what we do, but then that information has to be applied in one way when it is produced. How is it supposed to be used? So the director has explained to say some of these things, like when we generate the seasonal rainfall forecast,
right,
how is this supposed to be used? That's the application we are talking about. So you find that the information that is produced, it has to be applied in sectors like agriculture, as he has said. And in fact, just to add, just to add on that one,
right,
you know very well that Zambia, mostly our farmers, small-scale farmers, they largely depend on rain-fed kind of agriculture. And it becomes important that they get this information in a rightful way and, of course, timely manner, so that they are able to decide and make decisions. Of course, the other application really is on energy. I think you heard the director talk about how ZESCO or the Zambezi River Authority
Right.
make decisions depending on the forecast that can come out. That's part of an application, and so we do all sorts of things. Then the other aspect really sometimes is our information is largely used in the aviation sector. You may wish to know that basically for aircraft to take and land, or even during the cruise phases of the flight, they largely use meteorological information. So we are also in the aviation sector, and we really do play a very, very vital role in that area. Sure.
So let me come back to the director. Do you also get clients that probably, I would give an example, investors who would like to invest in a particular area? Do they also get to you to basically get, your opinion over the weather situation in the area of investment or area of interest?
Exactly. So we have people, for example, want to invest in a certain area in agriculture. They want to set up, for example, a plantation. They do come to us so that we can tell them, for example, how much rainfall is received on average in that area. What are the extremes that are likely to happen in those areas? And what are the temperatures like in those areas, so that they plan well. We also have the construction. All the roads that are being constructed, they get information from the meteorological department to understand, because you can construct a culvert, for example, a bridge, because you haven't taken into account the rainfall intensities. For example, you find that you build this season, the next season your bridge or your culvert are swept away because you did not factor in meteorological information. We also have one of the things that we observe is, for example, solar radiation. Solar radiation is very useful or very important when you are setting up your solar power systems, your solar farms.
Right.
So that information, anyone who wants to set up a solar farm or something like that, they have to get information from the meteorological department so that they know what is the number of sunshine hours, because that contributes to how you design your system. How much energy do that particular area receive? So that information actually will be, we've been working with the Ministry of Energy, where even resource maps, energy resource maps for solar and wind have been produced based on meteorological information. So we cut across all the sectors. Agriculture, if you want to set up your farm, you need to understand the climate of the area where you are interested to set up your farm. We have energy, renewable energy, solar, wind, hydro. All those are very dependent on meteorological information. If you want to develop an energy facility, renewable energy facility, you have to integrate meteorological information in your designs. Otherwise, you may find that you have challenges. The hydropower, for example, or our hydropower infrastructure that we have. Talk about the Kariba. You may wish to note that a number of stations, before they built Kariba, they had to establish meteorological stations just to understand the climate of the area and how much rainfall is collected in that area. And so the designs were informed by meteorological information. So that's how we cut across, or we also research. A lot of research people come through to come and collect our information so that it aids in their research. If you hear climate change, what is climate change? It's actually based on the data that we've been collecting over time. So now when you analyze that data, it gives you trends. You find that, the temperature trend is now rising, or the rainfall, in terms of the number of days of rainfall, is shrinking. Now you say, the climate has changed. You don't just say climate has changed. It's based on meteorological information that has been collected over time. Yes. So we contribute to all those sectors, but also to modelers, those that are doing climate modeling, to project into the future. What is likely to happen in the future? All that depends on what we observe. And that's why for us, we don't do it just as a country, but it's a collaborative effort across the region, across the globe. All the information we do share You may wish to know that we share actually every hour.
Yeah.
Meteorological information that is observed in Zambia and elsewhere has to be shared so that we because some of the things that happen, we say the weather knows no boundary.
All right.
So we do share this information. A storm might be brewing in the Indian Ocean. If we don't share the data, then it may surprise us. So that's how our information is provided across sectors, across communities, both locally and internationally.
Mm. There's been an issue of accuracy in as far as weather forecasts are concerned, and I think that this is not strange to you, that your department has been questioned several times on how accurate your information is, and I think that at some point it was in public domain that you as a department have been lagging behind in as far as technology is concerned. And this, I think, has prompted most citizens to rely on other sources of weather forecasts. Just share with us how up to date you are with regards technology, and as a result, your accuracy in as far as forecasts are concerned.
Okay, and let me start from what I've been explaining.
Right.
That our information feeds into other centers, for example, and other users who generate forecast. So whether you get your forecast from whichever internet site,
Right.
just know that the beginning of that forecast is our information from our meteorological department.
Right.
So in terms of accuracy, the accuracy of those forecasts depends on what we are giving them. And I may wish to tell you that for a long time, Zambia had only about
39,
40 stations to inform. And Zambia is vast, it's huge. To have 39 stations, I think is not adequate. And so those issues of quality, inaccuracies come in. Because I can tell you that, for example, the weather pattern here in Zambia, it may be raining in Long Acres,
right,
and very dry in Matero. So if you don't capture those observations, then your forecast might not be so good. So now what we've been doing, what government has been doing, is to expand and modernize weather observation infrastructure. Like I said, we used to have, I think we were only present in about 30 to 35 stations, about 35 stations.
right.
Right now, government has installed 120 automated weather stations with support from the World Bank through the Transforming Landscapes and for Resilience and Development project supported by the World Bank. So we've expanded now. We are in every district. I think the last station was installed in November last year. So we continue expanding. So meaning that moving forward, I think you have seen the how our information has been has moved up in terms of accuracy, in terms of quality. We are not yet there where we want to be, but I think we are getting there. The stations that have been installed will now contribute to ensuring that our information even becomes much more accurate and usable. The current information that we give, it's usable. You can use it, you can utilize it, and it can guide you in terms of how you need to make decisions in the different sectors. So I think we are continuing to expand and modernize our observation infrastructure because that's the starting point to improve the meteorological services.
Mr. Phiri, do you want to add so far to what has been discussed?
No, I think the director has said it all. And of course, I think maybe just want to say, yes, the doubts in terms of accuracy could have been there.
Yeah.
But rightly so, the accuracy of the information that we give is also largely dependent on the number of observing stations. So you find that the wider the spaces are in between the observation stations, it tends to create uncertainties in between the stations. And those are the maybe concerns that were coming from maybe different stakeholders.
Right.
But I think I can happily say that we are almost there. And I think people just need to get a bit of some interest in the updates that we give and perhaps monitor, so that in case we get into lapses, of course, it's good observation so that we improve upon it.
Right.
I think that's what I can say.
So let's talk about what is so much on people's minds last night. So it was very windy.
Yes.
And eventually it rained. And most of them, from what I have observed on social media comments about last night's weather, is some sort of caught them unaware. Is this something that you anticipated and gave information to?
Yes, I think we've been giving updates. Remember, we are coming from a very dry and very hot period.
Right.
I think our indications throughout our focus has been that there will be some improvements towards the end of the
month, February.
February into March.
Right.
But we are also quick to mention that whatever we are going to receive is not adequate to wipe off the deficits that exist. I think that's our message that we want to bring out. Yes, we'll have this rainfall, but it won't be adequate. Now, in locations like Lusaka, where you have, and of course other built-up areas, where you have a lot of infrastructure, a lot of concrete, what we are noticing is that when the elevation in temperature is a little bit higher because of the what we have built, the built environment. And so that tends to enhance certain things like a storm condition. Because of those high temperatures, you find that the winds are stronger in these locations. And things like that. So that's what we observed. We did not indicate the strength in terms of the wind, but we indicated that it will rain. But because of these localized conditions of especially around belt areas,
so there was pressure mounting.
So the temperatures are high, and because of that, you find that the winds are stronger. They tend to be stronger in built up areas. Yes.
Well,
but what we would encourage people is that get updates. We are looking at how we can even increase the resolution of the forecast, how often we issue the updates, because some of the storms that we are noticing are developing very rapidly. And so you can only issue a warning in hours without you can over a long lead time, for example, a day or two, you may see it as rainfall in your models. But actually, when you get closer to that event, that's when you can now notice that actually there might be a possibility of strong winds and things like that. Yes.
Let's also discuss storms now that you are at it. And I think after this, I will be opening the phone lines on 0955221515. Let me make mention also here that our guest this morning on Tuesday's edition of the Burning Issue, I've got two gentlemen in the studio. I've got Mr. Edison Nkonde, who is the director, Zambia Meteorological Department, and Mr. Laison Phiri, who is the principal meteorologist, and also from the Zambia Meteorological Department. So I will be opening the phone lines quite early, because obviously this has to do with the fact that most of you have a lot of questions, we do realize, around the Zambia Meteorological Department. And now, while you are talking about storms, let's talk about how storms like the El Nino come about, and they've been seen as storms with names, and how do even those names come about? So please share with us what some of these are.
Okay.
Maybe Mr. Laison Phiri.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. So these terms like El Nino, or La Nina, neutral conditions.
Mm.
These are systems that usually guide us into knowing what the coming season will look like. And of course, they are indicators, so to speak. So when we talk about El Nino condition, it's something that historically was observed somewhere in the South America.
Mm-hmm.
And these El Nino conditions, basically they refer to the warming of the sea surface temperatures in the Pacific there.
Right.
Yeah. Then the opposite of El Nino usually is the cooling of the sea surface temperatures in the Pacific there. And then, of course, the other one is a neutral condition, which is neither El Nino nor La Nina.
Mm.
Yeah, so you'll find that when we start observing these sea surface temperatures around June, July, thereabout, they tend to give us an indication. So when we are in an El Nino situation like we have this time around,
Right.
usually the conditions that are associated with El Nino are such that usually the southern half of the country, which is Zambia, is usually experiences dry conditions. And this is what is being explained with the current rainfall season, the 2023-2024. Of course, we saw this, I think, even during our forecast, when the seasonal forecast was issued, and we did indicate that we would experience some deficits in terms of rainfall. So El Nino, basically, they are just, I don't want to go into details,
Right.
some scientific explanation to it.
Right.
So usually when there's El Nino, deficits. When we have La Nina conditions, the cooling of the sea surface temperatures there, usually we tend to have enhanced rainfall, and basically over the whole country. And the neutral conditions also depend on which side maybe it might fall. It either you may not necessarily have a deficit or increments in terms of rainfall, but they tend to be on the average. So basically, that's what happens in terms of these conditions. Yeah.
Now, your department,
Probably,
yes,
if I can just add on what Mr. Phiri has said.
please.
Yeah, so those, the El Nino, La Nina, we call it the El Nino Southern Oscillation,
Right.
as a phenomena,
Right.
which is composed of the El Nino, La Nina, and the neutral conditions, as like Mr. Phiri has indicated. And that condition over the Pacific is the major driver of climate patterns across the earth, across the globe.
Okay.
Yes. So like Mr. Phiri, I just wanted to emphasize what Mr. Phiri has said, that for us, the conditions that we look at are the conditions that are observed in June, July, August, or somewhere there. Any other period, if you hear that it's a El Nino in April or such periods, it's of no concern to us. What affects us are the conditions that we observe in June, July, and August. And that's what we use. We incorporate among many other things that we use to issue or generate the seasonal rainfall forecast. There are other aspects in terms of how these systems interact. So you have those systems over the Pacific Ocean, which are very major because of the size of the Pacific. The Pacific is the biggest ocean. So it drives all these, but we have oceans around, like the Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean also has an impact, influences how the rainfall pattern behaves over the country. So now sometimes you may have the El Nino condition and what we call the Indian Ocean dipole. If it's positive, it reduces rainfall. If it's negative, it increases rainfall. So now you may find like what we are observing now, where it's an El Nino, which reduces rainfall over the country. And then we have the condition over the Indian Ocean, which is also further reducing the rainfall. So it looks as it compounds the impacts of, so the Indian Ocean situation compounds what we are, the El Nino condition also. So that's why we are seeing these extreme deficits in terms of rainfall over the country. Yes.
I meant to actually comment and say that your department to me sounds very critical in as far as the economical well-being of the country is concerned, especially that we are agriculture dependent mostly. You are so key in the sense that you could basically advise this nation through government, I'm sure, on how we need to begin to change how we do business, in as far as probably start switching from agriculture to other businesses, considering the fact that the weather going forward doesn't seem to be favoring Zambia in as far as dependence on agriculture is concerned. How instrumental and how key are you in giving advice to government with regards the way forward in as far as doing business is concerned?
Yes, I think meteorological services are very key. I can probably quote what research or studies have indicated. There are World Bank case studies which have been undertaken in other countries,
right,
where it indicates that if you invest just $1 in improving meteorological services, the benefits to agriculture may be $14. So that's how critical meteorological services are. So for us, I think we continue on that path to push that. We continuously improve meteorological services through different programs, through different projects, expanding and modernizing our infrastructure, ensuring that the products and services speak to the needs of the different sectors. Because for us that is very important. We can generate a lot of information which may not fit the needs of the users, and that might not be a good thing. So we want to increase our interfaces with the different sectors, with the water, so that we understand what they require, and we understand how we should package, how should we format this information so that it becomes usable. Because if the information is there but it's not usable, then it's not good enough. But also we are looking at how do we ensure that we have different platforms, different channels which enables, improve accessibility to this information. So I think those are the things that we are looking at. We, of course, understand that meteorological services are very key, and therefore we need to ensure that they are provided, tailored for each sector, but also accessible. So those are the aspects that we are trying to look at in order to improve the accessibility and usability of the information, meteorological information.
Great. So let me, at this point now, allow our listeners to interact with you, both of you, and be able to respond to some of the critical questions that may be coming from them. But first, let me share with you a question that is coming from our partner radio stations in Mansa, the Tuta FM. Says, good morning, Zach and panelists. Luapula province is endowed with a lot of water bodies, meaning many residents rely on water transport. How present is the Met department in and around districts where water bodies are? The question is arising from the fact that lives continue to be lost and on and in water bodies in Luapula due to strong winds, yet warnings by Met are seen on social media. All right, that's a very key question. You would like to respond to that before we take some more calls?
Okay, so what we are doing in that area is, first of all, we noted that our presence in terms of because our information starts with what we are observing, our observations. So we noted that around water bodies, I think we were absent in terms of observation infrastructure, and that's one thing that we have done now. So remember, I was indicating that government has installed 120, or a total of 120 automated stations.
Right.
A number of those are on water bodies at Lake Mweru, Lake Bangweulu, Lake Kariba, and Tanganyika. So that is to enhance our capacity to generate those the information about extreme weather on the.
And how effective is it now? How is it going?
Yes, we are able now to. We have issued a number of warnings.
Okay.
I think even in the last season, even at the beginning of the season, but also we are partnering with people on the ground, the authorities that are managing those facilities, but also through radio stations. We are sharing this information. We have created platforms where radio stations are now able to get this information, community radio stations in those locations.
Okay.
And we are encouraging them to say, you receive this information, please disseminate it, share it with the users. But also the local authorities, the people who are managing transport facilities there, we are sharing with them this information so that they can share with the users. Yeah.
I have one question, also in line with this particular question. I mean, do you charge when one is looking for specific information? Like I earlier said, could be an investor who would want to invest in a particular area for agricultural purposes, and they came to you and they would want you to tailor their weather advice. Whether you do actually charge. Why am I asking that? There is one question here, which is obviously looking at does Chinyunyu in Rufunsa receive enough rainfall that can sustain agriculture?
Okay, so I wish I could look at Chinyunyu. Chinyunyu is in Rufunsa.
Yes.
Chinyunyu is in Rufunsa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's between Chongwe and Luangwa.
And Luangwa. So in terms of the question was
if does
we
it
charge
have enough? Okay, so other than that, so the question here from a listener is, does Chinyunyu in Rufunsa receive enough rainfall that can sustain agriculture? But my question in addition to that is, so is there actually a fee to tailor, for one who comes for specific information due to investment interest in an area, for example?
So we don't charge. In the meteorological services now are given for free. They are a public good.
Okay.
So that's so from aviation, for agricultural purposes, for energy, we do generate this information and give it to the people who want to use it.
Yeah. So in short, you're encouraging Zambians, like some of them, before they make investments, they might as well just
it's
make
important.
Inquiries.
Yes, it's important because you may go to an area, and for example, we were discussing before the program came on board to say we are seeing a lot of billboards being, damaged or things like that.
Last night, especially. Last night.
So what we normally do is we give information about extreme, for example, winds in a particular area, the possible extreme winds. And that's the information that should be used when designing or constructing this infrastructure. Yes. So because if you don't use this information, then when that happens, the extreme you encounter extreme weather event, then it will damage infrastructure. So to avoid that, we are encouraging people to incorporate meteorological information, even when you are designing things like drainages, storm drains. You have to know what is the intensity of rainfall in a particular area where you are designing, so that the volume of your drain is can accommodate the extreme rainfall intensity that can occur. You were talking about Chinyunyu. I think most places across the country have good rainfall patterns that can support a number of crops. Yes, of course, there are those that may want those types of plants that may require a lot of rainfall. Then we can guide them to say the areas that have this type of rainfall is in this region or in that region. Yeah.
Right. Let's take phone calls. I would ask that you probably put your headsets on, both of you, so that we can get the callers loud and clear. Good morning and welcome to the Burning Issue. Your name and where you're calling us from?
My name is Elijah Ngwale.
Yeah, Professor Elijah Ngwale.
Legal ambassador for persons with disabilities.
Great.
And also recipient of 24 October 2021, the insignia of honor conferred upon me by the 7th President of the Republic of Zambia.
Great.
I'll speak alphabetically, but I will not reach it.
Great.
I would like to commend you, Abamo Banda, for bringing that topic, which is not political. If you
Right.
could identify as many topics as possible, like that, it will be well and good, so that we rest from this provoke, frustrate politics.
Mm.
B, I would like to commend, not recommend would be Bemba English, but commend. I would like to commend the personages. Let me call them personages. Personages who are there explaining issues. They're explaining them very well. C, I would like to plead with, supplicate, implore all politicians, including my head of state, seventh president of the Republic of Zambia, not to be blasphemous. You know, I've left Mr. Banda, I think it was last week or the week before last. I heard my beloved president, President Hakainde Hichilema, man of God, saying that we should ask all the church to pray to God that he gives us rain. And many people, bishops for that matter, bishops, archbishops, cinnamons as the Bemba put it, would say, let's pray to God to give us rain. Rain, and I think those gentlemen there will agree with me. Rain that is not with God, rain is just here on the earth. So you pray, you say God, and some people have even begun cheating now. They go to meteorology. The meteorology department tells them on the internet that the rain will come next week. And then they go to their churches. And when the rain comes, no. So you gentlemen, please agree with me, though you like it or not. See, rain does not come from heaven now. It's just here on earth. And that everything what is being done to what? To ensure that we are given rain just here on earth, other than doing things blasphemously and sacrilegiously. I rest my case.
Thank you. Thank you very much, the senior citizen, Professor Elijah Ngwale. The number you're calling us on is 0955-221515. And you can send us a message if you like on the number 0761-912493. Our guests today are from Zambia Meteorological Department. We've got the director, Mr. Edison Nkonde, and we've got the principal meteorologist, Mr. Laison, as well in the studio. We'll take this call. Good morning.
Good morning, and how are you?
Fine, thank you. Your name, sound, where are you calling us from?
Within Lusaka. My name is Morgan, Mr. Chilonda. Yes.
Mr. Morgan Chilonda.
How are you? Who is there? But Banda. Who are the guests today?
Well, I just mentioned that we've got representatives from Zambia Meteorological Department. We've got the director, Mr. Edison Nkonde, and the principal meteorologist, Mr. Laison Phiri.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes. Drought is man-made. The climate change. The fact, what I want to say, the point is that, yes, we are aware, all of you were at school, that cutting trees, you're not cutting trees anyhow. You have to keep trees. And we, as a 20 million Zambians, if I order you to say that everybody plant one tree, you can have a good breeze, good rain. So for me, what you are talking about here is the climate change, which is threatening to the food security, threatening to the energy sector. And that's what I'm talking is the fact. Today we are talking about Kariba being dry. And we have warned that during the dry season, there shall be road shedding. Threatening to food security, there shall be no food compared to the Zambian people expectation because of the same threatening. Now for us, we have experience in this drought. What is the solution? What next? So we need you as a meteorological department to continue informing us and need the proper machinery so that make sure that even the farmer continue farming them. Do we have a poor machinery? We need more machinery, and the government should buy more machinery for you so that updating us. And as a little knowledge which we have, we went to school for. Add on, make sure that we stay protected and aware what's coming in forefront of us. I think thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In line with that question, I've got a message here says, good morning, Zach. My question is, why sometimes you find that they give an update on such a day, the rain, you give an update that on such a day, the rain will fall. Like we had that on the 14th of February, the rain would have started. But until yesterday, this is when we received rain here in Southern Province. So what is the trick? Is it the machine which is not accurate or what? Thanks, I'm obvious Hachupunde in here in Choma. Thank you very much for that question. And do you want to respond now, or I give you some more calls?
No, we can
get some more.
We can respond.
Okay, let's
just
respond. Yeah, let's respond.
Yeah. So you see, our information is. I want to put it in a manner that people can understand. So when we give an update, first of all, when we give you information, for example, a week from now, we may not tell you how the distribution will be.
Right.
We'll just give you, because that's what science can, the science tools that we have. That's how we will not tell you to say this day will be like this day, but we'll give you that on average we are likely to be below or to be above. But as we get closer, we start now updating to say, just like the seasonal forecast, we'll give you to say for October, November, December, we are likely to have below average, but we will not tell you the distribution because the science is not yet there to allow us to give you the distribution in terms of this day will be raining, this day. But as we get closer, that's why I was saying that people need to understand our products and that we give. When we give the seasonal forecast, get it, understand how to use it. But as the season starts, we start breaking it down to refine it, to now tell you in the next 10 days, there's so and so will have so much rains, there's so and so, and so on and so forth. So that's how so when you get the weekly forecast also, please ensure that we get you also follow up with the updates that we give. Because as we get closer to what we are telling you, the event, we now start refining it and refining in terms of the distribution on the ground to say, okay, we are now going to have areas so and so having so much rainfall and things like that. So my encouragement to, and thank you for the feedback. My encouragement is that people should use the whole range of our products because that's how they are going to get the complete information. I don't know if I've
yeah. Although let's discuss the issue that Professor Ngwale brought out, that we seem to be looking for rain where it isn't, yet it is within us, and largely more importantly is how we use the ecosystem in order to actually have available rain. I don't know how much you agree with him in as far as we ourselves are mismanaging the rain pattern. I'm sure it all comes down to what we are doing with the environment, no?
Yes. So for us, we are seeing it like this. Rains, it's a complete environment. It's a complete system.
Right.
So, for example, if you cut down your trees, because some of the moisture that forms cloud comes from the trees. So if you cut down the trees, it means you are reducing the moisture that should form clouds that should come back as rain. That's one aspect. The other aspect is we do have these dry spells every season. Sometimes they are longer, sometimes they are shorter, but we do have them. But now, when you have them now, when you have cut down your trees, it means that the moisture in the soil that is supposed to support your crops will be reduced, because the soil, first of all, will be bare, there will be direct sunlight, the temperatures will be high, and the soil moisture will be depleted very, very quickly. And therefore, you find that even the dry spells that we used to have in the past, because we had trees, the impact is different from what we're having now, because we don't have trees. And the other aspect for trees is, we are drilling boreholes, right, to access underground water.
Right.
How is that water replenished? It's through rains. When the rain falls, it should find a tree that should help that rain to recharge the ground. So if you remove the tree, it means water will just run off and will not recharge the ground. So it's how I'm trying to say the importance of us having trees. Our forests, maintaining our forests, it is one of the biggest solutions to mitigating or reducing the impact of the changing climate. So that's we agree in that respect.
So would you say that most people are shooting in the dark, much as we are now trying to resolve to irrigation in as far as agriculture is concerned? Yes, we will irrigate, but again, we are not mindful on how we are helping the ground to recharge water-wise.
No, irrigation is one of the solutions that we need to consider in terms of improving our food security. But the aspect of the forest is very important, because even the water that you are going to use to irrigate, it has to be supported by the forest. It has to be recharged using the forest. The forest becomes very critical in terms of recharging the underground water. So for us, those are some of the aspects. I'm sure the forest colleagues can give a much more detailed picture, but from our small understanding, I think that the forests are very key. We know it. For example, I can give you an example. If you hear us talk about the Congo air boundary, when we receive the first rains, most of the moisture that comes, that gives us the first rains, especially over the northern parts of the country, is because of the Ituri forest. The trees in the forest are the ones that generate that moisture, most of that moisture that now comes to give us rains. So if you cut those trees, it means you are reducing the rains that we receive. And that's true for any other place. If you cut down the trees, you reduce the amount of rainfall, and of course you increase the impact when you have dry conditions or droughts.
Right. Let's take some more calls on 0955-221515. Good morning. Welcome to the program. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Bwino mwaka bwanji ya bosi.
Tauka kayai mwaka bwanji.
Tauka bwino. Wani wa mjendo wapi mwa wakanya.
Wa mdendo kanyama.
Mwaka bwanji wa meteorological.
Tauka bwino mwaka bwanji.
Tauka bwino.
Yeah. Imwe wa meteorological in department yanu ndakambe kuti is one of the itisunga mu Zambia ndipo lapo. Mane kama chika ni dabuisa nichija chamene sinzi wa language site experience kachitundu chako wapi tuma kamba mumashulira mumala tumumanzeka kukamba kuti chamene chibwera next week ni chinambam tuma zingira semonga tumuchimikirana aba meteorological banakamba so nchani ni mani power ingono chivuta ni chani ku department yani tibambera tabe YCZ ya YCZ since by reaction kwa menya yanasira tima waona randi kuruza ipita na makomo kali mulembese bora ni mulembese ndiye nchitame mwenzo kunika kunkala nayo because department yanu ndiye kisunga onani mwameni ya kwa manje ndio munatiuza before wata perfect ine kapena ine nambera hapo mahiese kapanya mahiese muzani controller nambera kuti part of southern province na part of central province mvula zidaloka bwino but kifaka kuti simulibe voice simukumambeka monga mwamuna kukamba kuti ya imailonenda ku town muma kamba kapena I think so timamvera hearsay tamene timavuta ni chani please titandizeni koni apo vintu vavantu vaonongeka chifukwa chaino so yamiri dzavantu ndirama dzavantu zaonongeka aine ngati ndine nipasa palino pa meteorological because imo muri na menso yochira ine yoona kuti in December kuzakaloka mvula ing'ono ingati ye but ine mwanirekerera nilibe na menso ya ng'ono nina menso ya ng'ono mwanirekerera kuwestinga ndirama zambiri kupaka mumunda chifukwa chaino mwaona so please monga mwelezi wakambira vaja venango sakirani maweza ndinini yakutimupeze kapena ni ma new technology ma machines yamene mufunika olo kapena mufunika mwambo kuenda whatever you can do as long as ine umuntu chabe nina menso ya ng'ono nina menso ya ng'ono at least nankalako na chikurupiriro muri ino mwaona so please koni maboys yamene munga titandizireni koni vantu vaononga ndirama zambiri maningi chifukwa chaino pa meteorological department
Bamdenda ati mukaliboenda bafuna okufunsa nkoni funso
okay
yeah
so ninga mchizungu
kambani
okay we thank you for that feedback. I think for us it's very important that you give us feedback so that it helps us to see how we can deliver the information. But I wanted to find out, like, how do you receive meteorological information now?
apa nachitako mwai because nakumvera nikoni chifukwa chakuti muri pachirimba apa ndipo pamene nachitako mwai some others umwane timankhala umu venango valibe ma TV venango valibe ma radio venango so mufuni kupeza njira yamene ingafike muntu aliyense as long as a farmer noti kuti tizikamba mati unamvera venango vamatifunsa vali kuminzi uko munamverako bwanji uko naite sometimes tifunsa vamene vakumunzi nanga uko imwe munamverako bwanji so imwe imwe muri na menso yochira ite imwe mufunika mu menso yanu kapena ni ma binoculars mwabwerekako binoculars somewhere kuja imene mwafakako mwambo chisevenzesirako so apa tamverako bwino chifukwa chakuti ndimwe mwabwera apa mwakamba manje apa but we are not sure because mwaona monga mwamene mwakambira mpepo chanchani ivi vampepo vachanchani vampepo mwezofunika kutiuza kapena a week before tina manyumba ya jamii timafaka miala pa malata atagulako misumari takokomerapo so mwaona uko waona
Zambeka
but mverani manje, how do you want to be receiving this information? As where you are, mwaona bantu amene bali kwa mene uko, how best can we save you? How can we give you
my SMS
my SMS olo monga mwapempako monga njira inango monga mwamene bachikira banzatu ba ICZ kudandi kuruza yao ide yawa itisipu mula uzepeza kuchaisa uzepeza kwa kanyama whatever at least olo mwamene ifetili muno mtauni ngati tamvela ise maybe bajabene bamatifunsa kuti nanga uko munamverako branch kingazikwa nita kuwao zote hapa tilandi kuruza last week inapita banakamba kuti mvula izakaloka pa 1 mwaona Wewe timanzera che sometimes tunamvere news bakutumira bakumunzi nyanga imwe munamvera bwanji uyu wina ngo apo akuza tia imvula inaloka pa 4 that's why wena ngo weza kuzana tunakamba kuti imvula izaloka pa 14 so ni mahiese ine nizakamba pa 14 uja wina ngo azakamba pa 18 uja wina ngo azakamba pa 23 waiona so we are not sure so imo titandizireni koni so that at least tizingala kona information yazoona maona so manyumba y'abantu mailo nao kamailo siku chifukwa chakuti mwesimuna tiuze kuti kubera mvura yaso ziko nasi ya vitupanja so kupeza vaenda so nenzo dandaula manje nachita mwai because mwabwera imo so ni dandaulira imo at least a week before mwatiuza o bane apa chizuva itamene chibwera iki afakani koni manzi mu mafriji kapena muri be mafriji mutakiye ko mawezi yakuti mukankaleko na manzi yo chizi maona but mutitekelera if that day that this is what we are saying but munakambali so kuti pempani konya manjira monga kuri wa ICZ nenza kamba wa ICZ because ndeka beniona wasebenza bwino bapitana pitana olo mapempako ya manager ranki tu olo tumapepa cheti de monga dotewa kulita maploti vantu mupofole tabu maroboti o next week mvura chizalo inga pitandizire as a country because when
eventually is run out on talk time or something, but very informative in terms of how much they seem not to be receiving information in as far as weather forecasts are concerned. Let me take another one. Good morning.
Good morning, Abad. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I guess good morning,
Great.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Zulu.
Mr. Zulu, from within Lusaka?
Yes, it is.
Please go ahead, sir.
At least when I went to school, I was taught some weather language.
Yes.
But your language, what's the name of our guest, by the way?
Come again?
What's the name of our guest?
So we've got Mr. Nkonde and Mr. Phiri.
Okay, Mr. Nkonde, Mr. Phiri. At least I was taught some weather when I was in school.
Mm.
But your language, how you explain the weather, is a jargon to most of the people out there in the village. Some of them maybe in Lusaka. Kindly find a better way of explaining that language, that weather language, so people can understand and simplify it as simple as possible. You can say, when you say southwesterly wind, southeasterly wind, I understand. Myself, I understand. But others don't understand. Kindly simplify your language so people can understand it and simplify it as simple as possible. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zulu, for that call and your contribution. 0955-221515 is the number that we are getting you on this morning on the Burning Issue Tuesday edition. Our guest is Mr. Edison Nkonde, who is the director from Zambia Meteorological Department, and Mr. Laison Phiri, who is the principal meteorologist, and also from the Zambia Meteorological Department. Quite a number of concerns. Let's respond to some of them. I know Mr. Banda brought out on how a lot of people that don't have access probably to TV or indeed social media miss out on updating as far as weather forecasts are concerned. And also language.
Mhm.
Mr. Bazulu brings out you are using technical language in your weather forecasts, which most people may hardly understand. Do you have any plans of probably doing these weather forecasts different local languages on probably national broadcaster?
Okay. Let me go first.
Okay.
Firstly, I think it's to thank Mr. Mudenda
Yeah.
and Mr. Zulu.
Yeah.
I think that's the feedback that we want.
Right.
It's from the feedback that we can be now guided to say this is how we need to be providing these services.
Right.
Yeah. So speaking of what we are, for
Right.
example, I think in the early 2 weeks of February, we were running a project, a survey in Kanyama, just for us to understand how we need to be packaging this information, language barriers, and so we had a very, very good interaction with the community.
Right.
And that has given us some insights in terms of how do we package information, what channels do we use, what language do we use.
Right.
So I think we that's the path we are taking in terms of engaging the users, understanding their requirements, understanding how they use this information, how they want it to be received, how they want to access this information, and that now will help us now start defining platforms, defining ways of reaching out to the users. But I think this is very good to have feedback for us, Mr. Phiri.
Yeah, yes. So thank you very much, Director. Just to amplify on that one,
Right.
I think we've been looking for ways and means to increase our platforms in terms of getting to different sectors and the groups of society so that they get this information. Remember, meteorological information is what we may call it's a perishable good, in the sense that this information needs to be disseminated accurately but also timely, because you may have good information, but if that information does not reach the intended audiences, then it becomes useless. So yes, Mr. Mudenda, we want to appreciate that one. And for me, I would suggest that we form what we would call weather champions in our communities, so as to increase their awareness in terms of meteorological information.
Right.
We can start small and then we keep building up. So, Mr. Mudenda, I'm sure if you are still there, you could call us, or you could call the radio station back so that we get your phone number. Then we can add you on a WhatsApp group, so that you, from there as well, you can form your own weather group within the community, so that you keep on sharing this information with others.
Right.
Then, Mr. Zulu, in terms of the language, yes, we do realize that we need to actually transform our weather information into local languages. We've done that in terms of the seasonal forecast. But for the daily or the 10 days forecast, we are looking at ways and means of doing that, because, of course, we don't want to distort our information. There is a possibility that if we don't monitor how this information is translated into local languages, there is a danger that the real purpose for that information might be distorted. So yes, I think let's just join hands together. I'm sure if you want further information on how we can enhance the reception of our weather data and information, we can share in one or the other. Then additionally, just before I end, please, people, we have offices, I think, all throughout the country. And although we may have presence in some of the districts, but of course, we realizing that meteorological department needs an interface between ourselves and the farmers. There is Ministry of Agriculture, where we are collaborating very, very effectively, such that whenever there is this information, we do share with the maybe district agriculture office,
Right.
including the camp extension officers,
Right.
who get this information, and those are closer to the farmer than ourselves. So in case of any doubt in terms of this information, Ministry of Agriculture through agriculture extension officers, they do have this kind of information. So that's the one way of trying to bridge the gap between the information that we have and the audiences out there.
Great. So we'll take some more calls on 0955-221515. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Fine, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Your name and where are you calling us from?
I am Phiri Gajave, calling you from Azabuga District, Magoe area, Chief Manajingwala, CEO Winia Kalama.
Your name again?
Phiri Gajave.
Gajave.
Yes.
Okay. Please go ahead, sir.
Yes. I appreciate the talk.
Right.
These meteorological people.
Right.
I think, to be very frank, sometimes they must offer an apology to the public. They have misled us. If they feel they have not misled us, then they have not done their best. Why I say so, they kept on saying now the rains will be from normal to normal, but plant the early maturing seeds now. That we did. You can't even look at your field twice these days. This drought, if they knew that it was coming at this stage, they decided to keep quiet. I appreciate the talk that was given by my brother who was speaking in Nyanja just a few minutes ago.
Mudenda.
The one was saying, even a land cruiser going around telling people, alerting people as the ECZ does.
Right.
Those people are quiet. And when they see that now things have gone wrong, they will start saying, no, you should not cut trees and what have you. When they were focusing, didn't they know that there were no trees when they were telling us that the rains will drop this way? they didn't see that there were no trees. So where has that rain gone? In their machine, it showed that it's coming, but because the rain found no tree, it ran away. Are they saying so? So let them give us credible information so that when we are beginning the planting season, we begin with vigor, with vision, and advice from them that we are not wasting our resources. If they can't, then let them stop so that we depend on our grandfather's information that when the cloud is to the western side or northern side of the earth, then it is going to rain today. Because it doesn't help us the way they have misled us. Now we are going into hunger. We have wasted the fertilizer, and yet they were there, Meteorological department. So I want to request them to get better machines and give us credible information. Kulela kuti kavatwambira kuti mwakaigonka isamu hena taba isamu lonse nivatwambira kuti yakuwa nomuchitonga
Yeah.
let them focus properly so that as we go into planting, we have the credible information. Now he is appearing there because this last night it dropped and everything has gone to waste. I don't know what advice he can give us now. Thank you very much, Mr. Zach.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kajabi, for that very important feedback and phone call that you obviously gave us. Let me take another one. Good morning.
Morning, Bazaki.
Morning. How are you today?
I'm okay today.
Great. Your name, sir, and where are you calling us from?
Felix Mukuka from Matero here within Nsaka.
Felix Mukuka from Matero. Please go ahead.
Good morning, panelists from the Meteorological Department.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Early this month, I heard the weather forecast from a certain media. In fact, it was from a certain on television.
Right.
Yeah. One of the weather forecast personnel informed us that the rains will come on 10th February. I think she assured us that the rains were supposed to come on 14th February. Since she said 10 days from now, on 14th February, we are going to experience the rains in the average rainfall in the parts of Eastern Province, Lusaka, and Southern.
Right.
But unfortunately, we didn't receive the rains until, if it's in Lusaka, it's only yesterday when we experienced the rainfall. And we were very much expectant with the information that we were given. And a lot of farmers here in Lusaka, they were expectant that maybe our crops that were yielding or that were drying up will get resuscitated. But unfortunately, the weather, the rains didn't come on that actual date that we were promised. Now, my question that I have is similar to the previous caller.
The previous caller.
Is it the incompetent people who are is it that people who are in this meteorological department are incompetent, or is it that you don't have good apparatus or good equipment that can give you accurate measures or actual dates when the rains will automatically come? Is it that people are incompetent there, or is it that you don't have good apparatus or equipment? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that. Again, it's still coming down to accuracy and what is perceived to be misleading information that people receive. Now, the gentleman, Mr. Gajabe from Mazabuka, feels you're not doing enough, feels you owe the people a lot because then you did not guide them well. This drought really, people feel let down by the meteorological department, especially on the on the damages that have been, made to the crop fields and all. I don't know how you would want to respond to that, but it's everyone now is looking at it from the agriculture point of view, the damage that caused on agriculture. You know what I mean? And also you brought out an issue where you say you work together closely with the experts from Ministry of Agriculture. So your weather forecast and information may be very general, but when it comes to the details of how the prevailing weather can be utilized in agriculture, I believe that becomes the Ministry of Agriculture's job. No, correct me if I'm wrong, but let's respond to those serious concerns. So maybe we can start with the one from Mr. Gajabe from Mazabuka. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Banaka Jabe. I know you may have genuine concerns regarding the forecast that was given, and what I can say really is that the forecast, as was given last year, and to be precise, it was read in Parliament by our Minister of Green Economy and Environment,
right,
where from that ministerial statement, he did indicate that the weather patterns for the coming season was going to be influenced by the condition called El Nino, which tends to reduce rainfall over almost the southern half of the country. And of course, the southern half of the country, we'll be talking about provinces like Western Province, Southern Province, Lusaka Province, some areas of Western Province, including areas, some areas of Central Province. So basically, as the season has progressed, that's what we've seen, that these areas haven't received the much needed rainfall, not even the average of what is expected. So really, depending on what angle someone is looking at,
maybe just to help Mr. Kachabe,
yes,
is that, such information, as you put it, half part of country will receive very low rainfall.
Yes.
And then from that point, someone should have picked it up now.
Yes.
From the agriculture point of view.
Precisely.
What you do with your fields and what not to do with your fields.
And we don't stop at that.
Right.
I think the director did indicate that when we look at the larger picture, we start now breaking it down either by giving 10-day forecasts.
Right.
Okay, and within a month we give 3 of those, meaning again you are most likely you are indicating how are we progressing. And not only that, again we break it down to 7 days forecast, meaning, and the 7 days forecast, they are given twice in a week, meaning the update is more or less like it overlaps. One update is given on Monday and the other one is given on a Friday. So meaning that if you look at 7 days, the other one is more or less like updating the other one that was given. And if people were following really, well, I don't know. They may say we misled, but I think we did what we could under the circumstances. And in fact, far from even the incompetences that have been suggested by other quarters, I think we have enough competent people at the department who are able actually to interpret, because these are systems that you need to see, interpret them, and then communicate. So really, we have the right competences. Yes, we may not have equipment like my director indicated that, of course, to be at the top of things, we need as many observation points as possible, because those will now even give us what we call tailor-made and area-specific kind of focus. But of course, we are trying to do that now with the equipment that we have received. Yes. So please, I think, bear with us that we are doing the best. I think Mr. Kajave, you must have an office. He's calling from Mazabuka?
Yes. Mr. Kajabe, yes.
Yes.
Kajabe, yes.
Yes. So in Mazabuka there, just like I indicated, that we work very, very closely with the Ministry of Agriculture. You can easily walk to Ministry of Agriculture and definitely this information, the weather information that we generate is usually with these people because they are the interface between the farm up there and ourselves who produce the information. So please take time, visit them, they will be able to advise. On Mr. Mukuka, well, just like I've answered, that it's really not the incompetence that is there, neither the bad equipment. We have up-to-date equipment right now, and you've heard that expanded and modernized to nearly all the districts, including the water bodies that I think there was some area concern. So we have equipment that is there. This equipment is supposed to gather information for us. We put together that information, synthesize it nicely, and then we are able now to come up what are the likely events, weather events that are supposed to come. That's the whole idea behind this. I think at this moment, unless my director has something to say, he may add.
Well, for me, I think I appreciate the callers and their candid feedback. I think that's what we need. We need to absorb that feedback, understand them, and just ensure that we start now responding to their needs. Because for us, that is very important. If we produced very good forecast, if it's not reaching or if it's not being applied, then it's not good enough. So I think we need to, we appreciate the feedback, give us more feedback, and I would request that those that have that can access these social media platforms, please go to our Facebook page, Zambia Meteorological Department Weather. Like the page, give us feedback. Where you think we are not doing enough, please give us feedback. But also give us what you need from us. What do you need? How can we serve you better? I think that feedback is very important for us. So for me, I think is to appreciate the feedback that we are being given, and we'll take it on board and incorporate it in our process as we improve the delivery of meteorological services.
Very interesting. Well, let me also take this opportunity to state that we as a radio station have been, making these updates on a daily basis. I think we have an update in the morning on our breakfast show in as far as the weather is concerned. Lunchtime news at 12:45 and 18:30 news as well. We give a weather update. All these weather updates, they reach us directly from your office. And that way we know that we are giving out authentic weather forecast.
Yes.
But also the weather forecast that I'm referring to may not be as adequate based on how we have gotten the feedback. Sometimes I'll give you an example of the weather update, for example, for Tuesday today, which obviously was saying northwestern Copperbelt, central Wapula, northern Muchinga, and eastern provinces. In the morning, mainly cloudy and slightly windy with isolated rain. Temperatures will be mild to warm, ranging between 18 and 21 degrees Celsius. Afternoon will be partly cloudy, slightly windy with isolated showers and thunderstorms. Temperatures will be warm to hot, ranging between 27 and 34. This kind of information is not as detailed as some of the listeners expect to receive, or the information they expect to receive from you, because from this information, it would be very difficult to say that this information will guide a farmer enough, So in this case, farmers, if they are to get the actual accurate information concerning their fields, concerning their farming season, where do they get that detailed information from? From your offices, or indeed they can get to any agriculture office in their locality? How best would you advise in that regard?
So, like I mentioned, we do produce co-produce with the experts from the Ministry of Agriculture
Right.
tailored information for the farmers, which
Right.
we call the agro-meteorological bulletin. Yes, it's in some areas it may be a little bit technical. So we try to combine to make it simpler for anyone to understand, to know what is happening. And for example, the first page is just advisories or highlights. And we are telling people, of course, these are advisories from Ministry of Agriculture. And then there are advisories from the weather aspect, what we are saying, what the weather will be. Are we going to have dry spells? Are we going to have inadequate soil moisture? So that's the product that we expect the farmers to get.
Yeah.
So we share it again because it can't be, it's in a format that cannot be
shared with us and
shared on.
Yeah.
But I think we need to look at how do we start sharing that information with, I think on the platform where you are, you are able to get it, but you can't probably broadcast it because it's images and graphics and things like that.
That's right.
But probably we can simplify it by ensuring that it's you just give advisories without going into the finer details.
Yeah, that's
just
right.
give advisories in this area. What are the experts saying in terms of what crop you should grow?
Right.
What are the experts saying in terms of how we should look out for pests and diseases and things like that? So I think it's good feedback. We need to see how we can now start sharing that information through radio so that it reaches as many people as possible. But for now, what we do is once that product is generated, we share it with the colleagues, the extension service officers, so that, because we believe that probably that may be the best way for the farmers to access this information, because it becomes easier for them to now interact with the extension service workers to say,
Right.
oh, they are saying it's going to be dry, what should I do?
All right.
They are saying it's going to be like this, what should I do? So for us, I think we will look at that to see how we strengthen further. You may wish to note that one of the things that we are doing is also training the camp extension officers, so that, because we realize that probably there might be a gap in terms of our colleagues understanding what. So we are training them so that they understand what we are saying. For them, it will be easier to understand the jargon, the scientific, and therefore repackage it so that it guides what the farmers should do on the ground. So we are trying to strengthen that aspect as well by training a number of, or actually, our target is to train all the extension, camp extension officers, so that they include in the advisories they give to the farmers, they include meteorological information.
Which areas of the country would you advise the government to put more money in as to help with mitigating systems in order to mitigate effects of drought, for example? I know you are very key, and I know that the government do seek your opinion on some of these things.
Well, for us, it's of course the areas that are being affected now are areas that normally have these conditions, a lot of dry conditions, and of course less rainfall. So in terms of which areas, for us, all areas are susceptible to drought and dry spell. Even where we are receiving a lot of rains now in the northern parts, even those areas can experience drought. So it's to put systems everywhere, and for us is to continue monitoring without breaking, because it's from the monitoring, the past, the historical data that gives us insights in terms of which areas are likely to have droughts, of what severity. Is the droughts, the frequency increasing? What are the impacts of, large-scale systems like the El Nino that we have been talking about? So for us, it's to establish everywhere. That's why That's why, like we mentioned, with support from the World Bank, we have set up automated weather stations across the country in all the districts, so that now, moving forward, we will have the ability to provide localized information tailored for each district. It's not enough yet. It's not where we want to be, but I think it's a huge upscale or improvement in terms of provision of meteorological services. Because that data, I can give you an example. We are now going to be observing soil moisture. Soil moisture is very critical for agriculture and also water resources. So that information will now tell us which areas are drying, which areas have good soil moisture, all those aspects that can support our agriculture. Yes.
Great. Well, as we come to a close, maybe your concluding remarks. Let's start with Mr. Phiri.
Okay, thank you very much. I think for me, the first thing is to appreciate 5FM for according us this opportunity that we could share with the audience there about what we do and how best maybe we can try to improve on the communication between ourselves as producers of weather information,
right,
and also the people that get that information. Remember that meteorological information is meant to be a tool for making decisions. It gives a guide as to what should you do in case such conditions come. So, of course, 5FM has provided us with that opportunity as a platform, and we still need, I think, from even the calls that came from people, it's like we are not yet there in terms of reaching out or targeting our audience so that they get this information for them to make rightful decisions for whatever it be, agriculture or any other thing. So definitely thank you, and we wish that we could reach out to as many people as possible through different media platforms. And I think maybe that's the way we go. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.
Great. Mr. Nkonde?
Yes, just add on what Mr. Phiri is saying. We appreciate 5FM. It's a all-weather friend. We really appreciate the updates that you give, and I think the feedback we will be discussing with you so that we see how we enhance our updates so that they are in a format that is usable, it's understandable by your listeners. I think that's the way we can contribute to improving lives and livelihoods across the country. We appreciate the cause feedback from Mr. Mdenda, Mr. Zulu, Mr. Mkuka, and the Professor Ngwale.
Yeah.
And also Mr. from Mazabuka.
Yeah, Mr.
Thank you for that feedback, but don't just stop there. Reach out to us. Like I indicated, go to our Facebook page. You find a lot of contacts there. You even get the website for the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, where you find a number of products, services that the ministry as a whole, because it's very comprehensive. It's not just meteorological information. You have what is the Forest Department doing, what is the Department of Green Economy and Climate Change is doing, what is the Environment Department doing, and of course agencies like the ZEMA. We are in the same port, the same ministry. We have the National Biosafety Authority.
Yeah.
We have the college, the Forestry College in Kitwe. So I would request that people get interested in the updates. If we don't give you the update, please demand that update so that we and also demand that it's in the format that can assist you in what you do. So for us, I think as is to encourage to say get updates from the Zambia Meteorological Department. Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming, and we really appreciate. We sure hope that we'll have a conversation of this nature soon,
Yes.
as we continue experiencing what we are experiencing as a country with regards to weather. Well, thank you very much to you, all our listeners, for having taken keen interest in this discussion today, and thank you to our partner radio stations as well. We will be back next week at the same time. And also don't forget to catch our Thursday edition of the Burning Issue this week. So from us is take care of yourselves and more so of each other. Bye-bye.
Tune in next week for another edition of the Burning Issue.